Do you support the efforts to hold a referendum in Alberta separating from Canada?
I support the process of citizens being able to choose an issue that they care about and then being able to get enough signatures to put it to the people. And I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes forward on that.
When Mark Carney took the election, to see in about 24 hours there have been another 100,000 roughly people who've registered with APP, registered their intent to vote yes on Alberta sovereignty.
I don't want the shit show in the US and I don't want the shit show in Canada. I want to be an independent country on our own. How many of you want to be independent? How many of you want to join the States?
Our objective is to seek a binding, legislative-bound referendum on Alberta independence. If the existing UCP government fails to lead and act on a binding independence referendum, then the Alberta Republican Party will field candidates across the province in the 2027 general election. Now, to be clear, we do not want to see an NDP government in Alberta. And if the current UCP government does not wish to enter into good faith discussions and negotiations on what a coalition might look like, then we will be running candidates from length and breadth of our province of Alberta.
Sydney Fizzard for Rebel News here in Calgary, Alberta, a province in Western Canada which could soon become its own nation. From resource management to proper representation on Parliament Hill and everything in between, the disconnect between voters in the east and the west of Canada is palpable and has been evident over the decades. Following Canada's federal election, won by Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney after 10 years of Liberal Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the disconnect has grown into a wave of separation desires in the west. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith even updated policies on citizen-led referendums, allowing a vote on independence to come directly from the people. For a better understanding of Alberta's battles with the federal government, check out our documentary Ungovernable or the book Ethical Oil by Ezra Levant. Right now, the momentum is building for independence, with 1 in 4 Albertans already ready to leave Canada, prior to any organized movement. Advocates are coming out of the woodworks, such as lawyer Jeffrey Rath, who I interviewed earlier this year.
Obviously, there's been a lot of discussion, should we join the United States? Should we be a standalone independent state? Those are all questions for another day. The initial mission is to have a referendum for independence.
The question remains, who will unify Alberta's separatist movement and lead the province to greener pastures? Tonight we hear from Cameron Davies, leader of the newly initiated Republican Party of Alberta, a political party planning on running separatist candidates in our next provincial election. We spoke with the party leader and attendees curious about this event to get more information on the situation.
That's the kind of enthusiasm that Albertans need to have again. That Alberta is a place where we can raise our families, watch our kids and grandkids grow. It's a place of opportunity, a place of prosperity, and we can make it that if we separate from this toxic, abusive relationship that we call the Confederation experiment.
Former Reform Party leader Preston Manning recently wrote that if Canadians vote for you, it's a vote for Western secession. You opted not to run in an Edmonton riding, even though you grew up there. You have not yet campaigned west of Winnipeg. So what are your thoughts on Mr. Manning's comments, and what is your plan to address Western alienation concerns?
Well, a couple of things. I, as you know, born in Northwest Territories, grew up in Alberta. I resolved to no one in terms of my understanding of the West, my connection to the West, and I'm part of a government that governs for all of the country and very much for the West. I think such dramatic comments are unhelpful at a time when Canadians are coming together, and that is the sense in the West as well. I would note the leader of the opposition encouraged greater unity. This is a time when we need to come together as a country.
The election of the Liberals with Mark Carney has definitely told Alberta where we stand with regard to the rest of Canada.
We don't really have a good relationship with the federal government. We never have. And they treat Alberta like a colony. And it's time that we stood on our own 2 feet.
I don't know how many people have said that to me over the last few days, and even just before the election results, in the weeks preceding the election, that they were fearful that this Western separation thing would rise up again, and certainly it has. I mean, this isn't the only group that are thinking of this, right?
I was devastated. I felt like I did before the convoy, like I had to flee my country, and I was getting ready to leave and go to the U.S. And then I decided, what about Alberta freedom? What about our independence? And I actually saw Rebel News was encouraging on that, and also interviews with Jeff Rath and YouTubers. Clyde Do Something was a great one. I just saw that the movement was taking off.
This isn't political dysfunction. This is a system that by design is broken and by design is flawed. It's a system that from inception was meant to keep Alberta as nothing more than a resource colony.
Albertans are disappointed and dismayed that the Conservatives did not form a government this federal election. The Liberal decade of decline, unfortunately, has been selected yet again for us here in Alberta by those in Quebec and Ontario and the Maritimes. And that reinforces our need to talk about and engage a serious conversation about separation from the rest of Canada.
Do you want to be the 51st state? And if you don't want to be, I don't think you should have the star up there in the logo, because I'll tell you what, I don't want the shit show in the US, and I don't want the shit show in Canada. I want to be an independent country on our own. How many of you want to be independent? How many of you want to join the States?
Do you think that separation might lead inevitably to becoming America's 51st state?
Well, I think that if we create a constitution for Alberta that's better than what Texas did as a republic, or better even than what Ireland has vis-a-vis the United Kingdom, all of a sudden you could have other provinces and states choose to join us in what would be a better constitutional document and framework than what exists now. The United States did a great job 250 years ago, but I think we have an opportunity to set something as a new standard based on what we know now.
And Rob hit the nail on the head. We have a unique opportunity to create something better, not to emulate what has been done before. Some things have been great. Some things haven't worked out for others that have embarked with a constitutional republic. We can learn from that. We can do better than what's been done before. There are over 30 Commonwealth nations within the Commonwealth, out of 50, that have chosen a republic form of government. So this isn't something that's new. It's not something that's American. North Star, Alberta, independent republic. That's what our aim is. That's what we're shooting for. And we can do it.
They're for Alberta independence, and I'm here with the Alberta Prosperity Project. We have a desk set up here, and we're getting support for the Citizens Initiative to bring a referendum to Alberta.
I was very surprised when Mark Carney took the election. To see in about 24 hours, there have been another 100,000 roughly people who've registered with APP, registered their intent to vote yes on Alberta sovereignty. This combined with the Premier's office, coming out and actually lowering the number of signatures required to get to the referendum has been very exciting.
And what is your personal position on Alberta separating from
My
Canada?
personal position is I believe in Alberta sovereignty within a united Canada.
What does that mean?
It means like what we're doing today. When the federal government violates the Constitution, goes out of their way to interfere with our exclusive jurisdiction, we are going to meet them with every step that we can in order to preserve our ability to manage our own affairs. And in today's announcement, particularly for electricity, we are simply not going to allow the federal government, based on ideology, to violate the Constitution and put our people at risk of being in blackout during the dead of winter or the heat of summer. We're just not going to do it. So these are the kind of things that you can expect to see from our government, and we'll do more of them if we have to.
Well, in the last 24 hours, we've doubled our membership to just shy of 17,000 members across the province.
We saw that recent announcement from Premier Smith. Is that something that you think benefits your cause? And why did you decide to target at a provincial level instead of going after federal MP positions to get a federal help in this fight?
So provinces can decide to leave Confederation. So the initiative to separate from Canada must begin at the provincial level. The announcement earlier today by the UCP government was disappointing. It was one that said the UCP is not in favor of an independence referendum. They are not in favor of an independent Alberta. They made it clear to us again and again that they are on the side of Team Canada, that they want to see Alberta stay in this abusive and toxic relationship with the rest of Canada, and Albertans have had enough.
When it comes to the UCP, a $5.2 billion deficit, a government bureaucracy that is larger than the 2019 NDP bureaucracy. They're not acting like social conservatives. They're not acting like fiscal conservatives. What kind of conservative are they exactly? Albertans will need an alternative. If you want to vote for your principles and your values and see a conservative government, then the best path forward might be a coalition government. And we are committed to making sure the NDP don't win the next election.
I read on your website, it showed that 2027, you guys are hoping to have a full slate of candidates in Alberta.
Our objective is to seek a binding, legislative-bound referendum on Alberta independence. If the existing UCP government fails to lead and act on a binding independence referendum, then the Alberta Republican Party will field candidates across the province in the 2027 general election. Now, to be clear, we do not want to see an NDP government in Alberta. And if the current UCP government does not wish to enter into good faith discussions and negotiations on what a coalition might look like, then we will be running candidates from length and breadth of our province of Alberta.
My concern is that there sounds like there are 4, maybe 5 different separatist groups in Alberta. And in order to achieve an independent Alberta, we've got to get together and be one voice.
I am only here to make sure that we can unify Albertans behind achieving this mission.
I can tell that this is already better funded, better financed than the stuff that I've been involved with other independence parties in Alberta. And so that's going to be a factor.
We had raised over $122,000 in Q1 before we had actually officially stepped forward and launched our party a short week ago. All of the independence parties combined raised less than $6,000. We're talking about unity, people vote with memberships and with their wallets. That's the unity we're looking for. Unite people behind an idea and a mission that we can get behind. Get together, open the door. We are going to build the largest train. We are leaving the station, and every Albertan is aboard.
Right on!
The Republican Party of Alberta will continue to develop itself in the months ahead. But in the meantime, will Premier Smith see fair dealings from Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney? Will a referendum on separation become a reality through citizen-led initiatives? Or will a provincial political party, such as the Republican Party of Alberta, take the reins in our legislature in the years ahead? Let me know in the comments what you think. For Rebel News, I'm Sydney Fizzard. Alberta is done getting screwed by the federal government, but whether they end up seceding from Canada or less likely getting what they deserve from our federal government, we will be following that story through to the end and providing fair coverage at donegetingscrewed.com on the independence movement sweeping through the province.